Okay, today I'm going to talk about ghost notes and how the Moeller technique can help you play ghost notes and how to improve that, how we can use certain exercises from George Stone to improve that. But before we do that, I want to explain what I think ghost notes are. So what I see generally happen is that guys are playing a pattern, a linear pattern of some kind, between the hi-hat. I mean, you can add your feet in too if you want to, but I'm just going to talk about the hands right now. For instance, like a single stroke pattern. So instead of playing just straight eighth notes, they're filling in the 16ths with the other hand. Okay, and that's difficult to do when you're playing singles like that because you want to hit an accent every once in a while. That's the ghost notes are the notes in between the accent. So you can hit an accent and you want soft notes in between, but you want it filled up within a 16th note pattern between your hi-hat. I see a lot of guys using paradiddles this way. So paradiddles lends itself really well to making a backbeat accent while you're playing all these 16th notes. And then you can get into the inversions of the paradiddles, which work better. The regular paradiddle doesn't swing as much. Some guys like to use the second inversion. I don't see anybody using no, that was the first inversion. Sorry, this is a regular paradiddle. And the second inversion. Oh, sorry, first inversion. And then the second inversion is very rarely used. It's difficult to do. And then the last inversion is probably, I think, the hippest, but the hardest one. So that's, you see all those small notes, and you're still getting the backbeat, and you're getting a 16th note feel between the hi-hat and the snare drum. Okay. So what are the issues here? Let's, before I even get into how to develop this, or how to exercise to improve this skill, I'm going to get rid of the hi-hat now. I don't need it anymore. I just want to demonstrate what I think people are looking at as a ghost note situation. So the issues are, of course, what I showed you, the single issues. So to play an accent on a single is not too much of a problem. Okay? Play one of those 16. Now, the issues come when you have two notes in a row, or three notes in a row, and the paradiddles have combinations of singles and doubles. So then that brings up the issue of the accent. All right, so if you have two notes in a row, that's one possibility, no accent. Then the other possibility is an accent, and then a ghost note afterwards, if you want to call it a ghost note. And the other possibility is a ghost note first and an accent after. So those are the two skills. You can add more if you want to. I can do three in a row. But I mean, once you get to the, doesn't matter how many I do up front. It's the fact that I'm landing on an accent. And the same thing the other way. Doesn't matter how many rebounds afterwards. The issue is to get into the smaller notes immediately after the accent. Whether it be it 2 or 3 or 4, doesn't matter. So those are the two issues. So in paradiddles you have singles and doubles. And if you go through the grid on the paradiddle, you're going to find all of the combinations happen if you're going through the grid on the paradiddle. Even if you don't go through the grid, if you just go through the inversions with a singular downbeat. That was just straight quarter note feel with 16 notes happening in the paradiddle inversion combination, and as I went through the combinations, I had to do all of those issues. I had to deal with the single stroke hit, or the double stroke hit, or the double stroke hit after the. Okay, so those are, and then the other thing is you can do two. You can do two so that's it. You either have two in a row with no accent, two in a row with accent, one with one and then an accent, or an accent and then one. Everything else is moot after that. So the way I practice this stuff to get the accent clean is and be able to execute all of those smaller notes is by using accents and rebounds. This is the book that will do this for you. Right? And he specifically gives you all of these issues to work on in organized exercises. By the way, the book is dedicated to Joe Moeller. Joe gave him the inspiration to write this book. And really, I'm only going to talk about the first 4 pages. See if it gives you a good shot of it. Alright, and each page is very similar in the sticking combinations. Right? There's 12 sticking combinations. I'm going to go through the format before I actually show you any of this stuff. So if you just look at the first page, you'll see it's a single stroke, then it's a single stroke left hand lead, and then it's a double stroke, and then it's a double stroke left hand lead, then it's a paradiddle, then it's a paradiddle left hand lead, and then it's the hardest inversion of the paradiddle, the third inversion paradiddle right hand lead, third inversion paradiddle left hand lead, and then multiple strokes, 4 in each hand, right hand lead, 4 in each hand, left hand lead, and then everything on one hand, and then everything on the other hand. And if you take a look at the next one, it has the same process in sticking: singles, doubles, paradiddles, inversions, 4s, and total vamp. And if you take a look at the next 2 pages, you'll see that he just continues on this way, because these combinations are going to give you all of the issues you need to work with. Right? Singles, doubles, paradiddles, inversions, 4s, and vamps. There's the last page. Then after that, he goes on to a triplet section with the same idea, but he goes into dotteds, and then same combination of stickings with the dots, same combination of accents. There's the 4 dots, and then he goes into triplets, and he does a triplet version of this. Should be good for halftime shuffles. Okay, so that's one way to look at it, is the sticking. So he's using 12 combinations of stickings. He's going through accent patterns and challenging you with each of those patterns against an accent. And the only thing that changes from page to page is the accent pattern. And the accent patterns get a little more complicated and bring up more issues as you go into the second and the third page and the fourth page. The accents present more and more problems for you to resolve in hitting an accent and then playing a ghost note either before it or after it. Or even 2 accents. And with a pre-ghost or a post-ghost. And when I say ghost, I really just mean a tap stroke. If tap strokes are too loud for you, it's much easier to play them softer. I like to play them at tap level, so for development purposes, because it's much more difficult to play a full tap against a full accent, and then when you get on the drum set, you can just relax your taps and let them come down a quarter stroke and adjust the dynamics. So I'm going to go through what these exercises do, so you understand, right? So the first line is singles, and the first accent pattern is and that's the format. You do 4 bars and a repeat, and then on a repeat, the 4th bar has an ending, cadence ending on it. Then he gives it to you left-handed. Notice I'm using a Moeller kind of whip in this. I don't have to. I could actually do this completely upstroke and downstroke with control strokes. You know, very easily do that. But I'm trying to show you how to use the whip, because the whip really enables you to play much faster tempos. And that's the connection to Moeller, is that whip stroke that I learned from Joe Morello. That he learned from Joe Sepchik, but it's very similar to what Moeller was teaching, and it works very, very well in this accentuation exercise routine. So so that's pretty easy, the singles, but then you get into doubles, and then the issues start coming up. And you can see what's happening here is that I get to practice the, right? And then I got to do the reverse. So it's accent, ghost, and then ghost, accent. And then he does it left-handed, so that he reverses the issues for you. Sorry. So then the next series of problems. It's harder to do this slow, actually, after you've learned it, and do it very quickly every day. And I'll demonstrate the versions after I show you what I'm doing, so you understand what you're looking at. So then you get the paradiddle issue. Nope, sorry. Just to separate it, so you can hear all the small notes. And then left hand, then you reverse it. And problems get on the left hand. All right, and then we have the inversion. The third inversion paradiddle. Right? tap and then accent. Then the left-hand combination of that. And you can see all these issues are coming up about tapping and accenting, accenting then tapping, not accenting, just tapping. And then he gets into multiple strokes on each hand. Without changing the pattern, he wants you to do 4. Well, look at that. Is that familiar? Mm-hmm. And then he reverses it. And then the last 2 lines are a full vamp on one hand. So all of the issues are being worked on one hand. And then the left hand, same thing. But if you could play all the notes, all the 16ths and all of the accents on one hand, then it's going to be a lot easier when you start breaking them up between 2 hands. And that's the first page, and that's the concept. I'll show you another page. Because the next page has the bossa nova pattern in it, which is based on like a 3/2 clave, so that the downbeats and the upbeats keep on inverting themselves, and so it keeps on reversing the problem from bar to bar. I'll play the pattern singles. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you get into the doubles, line 3. Again, he goes into the double pattern, and you have to maintain that bossa pattern while you're playing double strokes. So the bossa pattern is like 3-note phrase, and you're working with a 2-note sticking phrase. So it gets, I'll show you. Here it is. 1, 2, 3. And when you get to the parallel, it even gets more complicated. And then the inverted parallel even gets more complicated than that. And then 4s, instead of the 2 sticking against the 3 accent, now you're doing 4 sticking against the 3 accent. And that's the second page. And then the third page, he gives you an even more complicated accent pattern, which creates even more issues for you to work on, because he starts getting into two accents in a row. So the pattern for that, the two accents in a row, is this. Alright, doubles. Pardon me. Doubles. And then paradiddles, straight paradiddle. And then the inversion creates the first time where you have to do two accents of one hand in a row on the same hand. One, two, three, four. And then the fourth. Sorry. And then all on one hand, the double accent really gets to become an issue again. And then the fourth page has an even more complicated, even adds more accents, and you have 2 double accents in the pattern. It happens twice within the pattern. So that double accent on one hand comes up a lot more often in the last page.